Jai Gurudev and Namaste. It is an honor to have you here today to discuss the profound wisdom shared by His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji on the ancient Kaal bhairav ashtakam. Could you begin by explaining the significance of this sacred text in Gurudev's teachings? Namaste, Jai Gurudev. It is my pleasure to share insights on this powerful subject. The Kaal bhairav ashtakam is a hymn composed in praise of Lord Kaal Bhairav, a fierce form of Lord Shiva associated with time, Kaal, and destruction. Gurudev often emphasizes that Kaal Bhairav represents the ultimate dissolution and the reminder of the temporary nature of life. According to Gurudev, the Kaal Bhairav Ashtakam is not just a hymn of devotion, but also a deep spiritual reminder to transcend fear, embrace time, and understand the eternal nature of our being. That is fascinating. How does Gurudev suggest we apply the teachings of Kaal Bhairav to our daily lives? Gurudev encourages us to see Kal Bhairav as a symbol of fearlessness and wisdom. He explains that the hymn helps individuals understand the impermanence of the material world and urges them to focus on their spiritual journey. By meditating on Kal Bhairav, we can overcome fear, whether it is fear of death, loss, or change. Gurudev teaches that true freedom comes from recognizing the divine in every moment and surrendering to the cosmic flow of life. The practice of chanting the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam empowers people to let go of attachments and embrace the present fully. It is clear that Kal Bhairav is more than just a deity of destruction. In Gurudev's view, could you tell us more about how chanting the Ashtakam impacts one's spiritual growth? Absolutely. Chanting the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam with devotion helps invoke the energy of transformation and protection. Gurudev explains that when we chant this hymn, we are calling upon the force that destroys ignorance and illusions. It helps in purifying the mind, allowing us to connect with our higher self. Gurudev often says that by surrendering to Kal Bhairav, we allow the natural process of time to unfold without resistance. This acceptance accelerates our spiritual evolution as it frees us from the limitations of the ego and the fear of mortality. How does Gurudev connect Kal Bhairav's role as a keeper of time to our understanding of life and death? Gurudev's interpretation of Kal Bhairav's role is profound. He teaches that Kal Bhairav governs time and space, and in this way, he reminds us that everything in life is temporary. By reflecting on this, we can develop a deeper sense of surrender and detachment. Life and death are simply two sides of the same coin. Gurudev often uses the analogy that just as we wake up and go to sleep every day, life and death are cycles that the soul experiences. By honoring Kal Bhairav, we learn to see time as an ally, not an enemy. We stop fearing death and instead focus on living fully and consciously. That's incredibly liberating. Could you share more about the metaphysical aspects that Gurudev associates with Kal Bhairav? From a metaphysical standpoint, Gurudev explains that Kal Bhairav symbolizes the dissolution of the ego and ignorance. He embodies the raw, unrestrained energy of transformation which burns away all that is false. Gurudev often speaks of Kal Bhairav's role as a protector of devotees. When we invoke him, we are protected from negative forces, both external and internal. This protective energy enables us to walk the spiritual path without fear. Additionally, the symbolism of Kal Bhairav's association with time encourages us to make the most of every moment, dedicating our lives to service, love, and truth. How does Gurudev advise us to integrate the teachings of the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam into our spiritual practice? Gurudev suggests that the best way to integrate the teachings of the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam is through regular practice of meditation and chanting. He advises that we chant the hymn with full awareness of its meaning, allowing the words to sink into our consciousness. Alongside this, he recommends daily meditation to quiet the mind and develop an inner connection with the divine energy of Kal Bhairav. By doing so, we can transcend our fears, deepen our understanding of time, and align ourselves with the eternal flow of the universe. Gurudev also emphasizes the importance of living a life based on dharma, righteous action, which naturally aligns us with the grace of Kal Bhairav. Are there any stories or insights from Gurudev that illustrate how Kal Bhairav has impacted the lives of devotees? There are countless stories shared by devotees about the transformative power of Kal Bhairav in their lives. Gurudev often speaks about the experiences of those who chant the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam with sincerity and how it has helped them overcome major challenges. For example, many have reported feeling a profound sense of protection during difficult times, whether facing personal loss, health issues, or professional struggles. Gurudev explains that Kal Bhairav's energy shields us from negativity and helps us navigate through life's uncertainties with courage and grace. Lastly, how do Gurudev's teachings about Kal Bhairav align with modern day challenges, especially in a fast paced, stressful world? Gurudev's teachings about Kal Bhairav are incredibly relevant in today's world. With the rapid pace of life and increasing stress, many people feel overwhelmed by the pressures of time. be it deadlines, responsibilities, or the fear of an uncertain future. Gurudev encourages us to view time as a tool for growth rather than as something to fear. By embracing Kal Bhairav's wisdom, we learn to flow with time rather than against it. This helps reduce stress and anxiety as we begin to live in the present moment. Moreover, Gurudev often speaks about the importance of self care through practices like meditation, pranayama, and chanting, which help us stay grounded amidst the chaos. Thank you so much for these deep insights. It is clear that Gurudev's teachings on Kal Bhairav offer powerful tools for personal transformation and spiritual growth. Thank you. It is always a joy to share Gurudev's wisdom. The Kal Bhairav Ashtakam is a treasure trove of knowledge, and as we continue to dive deeper into its meanings, we realize how it can elevate every aspect of our lives. Jai Gurudev, Namaste. It is a privilege to have this conversation with you today. We will explore the profound teachings of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji regarding the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam. Can you start by sharing the essence of this sacred hymn as explained by Gurudev? Namaste, Jai Gurudev. It is an honor to be part of this discussion. Gurudev has spoken extensively about the significance of the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam, a powerful hymn that glorifies Lord Kal Bhairav, a fierce manifestation of Lord Shiva. Gurudev explains that Kal Bhairav is the Lord of time and is responsible for the dissolution of ignorance and negativity. The hymn encourages devotees to transcend fear and reminds us of the impermanence of life. Gurudev's teachings focus on the spiritual growth that comes when we surrender to the energy of Kal Bhairav and embrace the transient nature of existence. How does Gurudev interpret the nature of Kal Bhairav, especially considering the fierce imagery often associated with him? Gurudev emphasizes that Kal Bhairav's fear form should not be misunderstood as something to be feared. Instead, it represents the fierce love and protection that Kal Bhairav offers to those on the spiritual path. He is the destroyer of illusions and the protector of truth. Gurudev teaches that Kal Bhairav symbolizes the ability to cut through the ego, ignorance, and attachments that bind us to the material world. His fierce form represents the dissolution of all obstacles that stand in the way of our spiritual evolution. That's a profound perspective. What does Gurudev say about the relationship between Kal Bhairav and time? According to Gurudev, Kal Bhairav is the embodiment of time itself. Kal means time, and Bhairav refers to the transcendental force that governs it. Gurudev often explains that time is the greatest teacher, and Kal Bhairav reminds us of the fleeting nature of all things. By meditating on Kal Bhairav, we can learn to embrace the flow of time rather than resist it. This acceptance of time's passage helps us overcome the fear of death and the anxieties of everyday life. In this way, Kal Bhairav teaches us to live in the present moment with awareness and detachment. How does Gurudev suggest that one incorporate the chanting of the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam into their spiritual practice? Gurudev recommends chanting the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam with devotion and understanding of its deeper meanings. He encourages us to make the chanting a regular practice as it has the potential to purify the mind and uplift the spirit. According to Gurudev, the vibrations of this hymn invoke a sense of fearlessness and protection. Chanting this hymn helps dissolve negative energy and instills a sense of peace. Gurudev often highlights the importance of surrendering to the divine will while chanting, as this practice aligns us with the universal energy of Kal Bhairav. That's so enlightening. How does Gurudev connect the teachings of Kal Bhairav to overcoming fear, especially the fear of death? Gurudev explains that the fear of death is one of the greatest obstacles to true freedom. Kal Bhairav, as the Lord of Time and Death, teaches us that death is merely a transition, not an end. By contemplating Kal Bhairav and the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam, we learn to accept the inevitability of death, and in doing so, we can live more fully. Gurudev emphasizes that once we stop fearing death, we stop fearing life itself. We become more courageous, more present, and more open to the divine flow. Kal Bhairav helps us break free from the illusions of permanence and leads us to experience the eternal nature of our soul. It's remarkable how Gurudev brings such clarity to these ancient teachings. How does the view how does he view Kal Bhairav's role in spiritual protection? Gurudev often refers to Kal Bhairav as the ultimate protector of those who walk the path of truth and righteousness. Kal Bhairav's energy wards of negative influences, both external and internal. According to Gurudev, invoking Kal Bhairav's presence helps us overcome the distractions, doubts, and delusions that can divert us from our spiritual path. The Ashtakam is particularly powerful in clearing mental and emotional obstacles, enabling us to move forward with confidence and strength. Gurudev also mentions that Kal Bhairav's protection extends to safeguarding our mind from toxic thoughts and tendencies. How does the theme of detachment, which is central to Kal Bhairav's teachings, fit into Gurudev's overall guidance for modern spiritual seekers? Gurudev beautifully integrates the theme of detachment into his broader teachings on mindfulness and self-realization. He explains that Kal Bhairav teaches us to let go of attachments that create suffering, whether they are attachments to material possessions, relationships, or ideas. Detachment, in Gurudev's view, is not about renunciation, but about living life with an awareness of its impermanent nature. When we chant the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam, we are reminded that everything in life is temporary, and this understanding allows us to live more freely and joyfully. Detachment in this context means being fully present in the moment without being bound by expectations of fear. Can you share any examples or stories from Gurudev's talks about the transformative effects of Kal Bhairav's wisdom in the lives of devotees? Gurudev has shared several stories of individuals who have experienced deep transformations through the chanting of the Kal Bhairav Ashtakam. One story he often recounts is of a devotee who was facing a several and severe personal crisis filled with fear and uncertainty. After consistently chanting the Ashtakam, this person felt an inner shift. Fear began to dissolve and a newfound sense of strength and clarity emerged. Gurudev explains that this is the protective grace of Kal Bhairav who helps us navigate life's challenges with courage. Many devotees have reported feeling lighter, freer, and more aligned with their truer selves after dedicating themselves to this practice. As modern life becomes increasingly stressful and uncertain, how does Gurudev's wisdom on Kal Bhairav help individuals cope with these challenges? Gurudev's teachings on Kal Bhairav are more relevant than ever in today's fast paced and often stressful world. He encourages us to see the wisdom of Kal Bhairav as a reminder that everything is temporary, including our challenges. When we align ourselves with the flow of time, we stop resisting change and start embracing it as part of our spiritual journey. Gurudev advises that through regular practice of meditation and chanting the Ashtakam, we can cultivate inner resilience, clarity, and wisdom. Gurudev advises us through the regular practice of meditation and chanting the Ashtakam, we can cultivate inner resilience, clarity, and a sense of calm in the midst of chaos. This practice enables us to remain centered and grounded no matter what life throws at us. Thank you for these incredible insights. It is clear that the Gurudev's teachings on Kal Bhairav offer not only spiritual growth but also practical tools for living a more fearless and peaceful life. It's been a pleasure sharing Gurudev's wisdom. Kal Bhairav's teachings, as illuminated by Gurudev, remind us that time, fear, and death are not to be feared but to be embraced as part of our spiritual evolution. By invoking the energy of Kal Bhairav, we can transcend our limitations and live life with greater awareness and joy. Jai Gurudev.